Cameras all good? All good, Al? Yeah. We'll kick off with kids then.
Chris, then let's go. Just to fact check to begin with, you were fairly confident that Brereton, Diaz and Baldock would be available this week. Have they had the training required?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they've trained yesterday and today fully. So delighted that we've got both those experienced boys back with us and involved in the group.
And well, Baldock's been absent for such a long time. To have him back, I mean, he's a leader on the field, isn't he?
I think when you talk about Premier League experience that we've been lacking, and talking about the likes of John Egan Basham, Tom Davis not being involved, Ollie McBurney, you know, not as much as we would have liked to have him for selection, but certainly George, knowing what his characteristics are, his personality is, I think we all know, having watched him and managed him for a number of years, we're absolutely delighted that he's back in the group, and it gives us a big boost.
He was a hell of a find, wasn't he? And what he's gone on to help achieve at this football club.
Yeah, he's been, you know, I think when you talk about sort of recruitment here at the football club and the real smart ones that we picked up in that sort of period, your Baldocks, your Jack O'Connells, you know, for what, 250 grand I think, and the service that he's given to the football club, the achievements that he's been able to aid the football club in, and would you believe it, a Greek international as well. So I'm not so sure when he walked through the door from Milton Keynes that we would expect him in 6 or 7 years' time to be playing for the Greek national side.
Apologies if I've missed this. Has there been a sort of timescale on Cameron Archer's time on the sidelines? How is he?
No, not really. He's improving as he would do with treatment. But there's no time scale on him. I'm sure that he won't be available before the international break. I'll be delighted if he is. Obviously now with that changing and the Man United game being rescheduled, it does give us another week to get the likes of Cameron right, Anis right, and a couple of the others to help the squad and boost the squad even more going into the last 10 games of the season.
Because he's played, I know he's not played in every match, but because he's been available a bit more to you, are you and the rest of the club and the man himself confident that Brewster's injury problems are now behind him?
Yeah, we are. You know, you can never say never, but you know, we're all delighted that you know, he got through that shift that he put in on Sunday for 75 minutes. We wanted to keep him on the pitch as well because, you know, he was a threat going deep into the game. So no reaction. Players had a couple of days off and back into work. He trained yesterday and he trained today and not feeling anything. So yeah, he comes through. You can never say never because obviously there is a little bit of history involved there. But he deserves a break and he deserves a little bit of luck going forward. And I think, you know, even the most negative of Sheffield United supporters will hopefully wish him all the best because he certainly deserves that for the amount of effort he's put in to get himself back fit.
Have Robinson and Sousa shook hands?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, I think, listen, I understand it was close and it's a massive talking point. I get that for media, maybe outside Sheffield, not really much of a talking point for myself involved at the football club. Made me laugh actually because the second story down after that, I think on Sky Sports website was two NHL ice hockeys absolutely smashing each other to bits, taking the gloves off and smashing each other to bits for 10 minutes. So it wasn't quite in terms of that intensity, but for me, not an issue as long as it got put to bed straight away. You know, I can sit here and over my career as a player and over my career as a manager and career here as a Sheffield United manager, there's been plenty of those situations that happened. Obviously, the spotlight of the Premier League, and we don't want that to happen, and it's not a good image. I totally get that. And it was too close for comfort. But I think that you know what side I'm going to come out on it. Is two boys that want to do well. And did it get us going? I'm not sure it got us going because I thought we were all right anyway. But these things happen. It gets put to bed, and we quickly move on.
You've spoken in the past ahead of matches at Bramall Lane about patience and equally, from a playing point of view, trying to stay in games. Does that apply on Monday with Arsenal coming? Well,
yeah. I mean, it can't be just one way. We talked about that when we first walked in. I think the Liverpool game was a key one, that we have to get that balance right. We just can't sit back for 95 minutes. We might get pushed back in at times, and we have to accept that. But we want to be a threat the other way, and we want to put attacking players on the pitch as well. So we want to give them some problems as well. But as I said, that I don't think it needs much explaining the form that they're in, the players that they've got, what they're doing, and what they have done over a number of years, how they've built and how they've moved their squad forward, and kept evolving, and kept improving, and to put themselves in a position where they are is not fluke. There's a lot of hard work off the pitch goes into that, and certainly a lot of talented people involved off the pitch to give that team the opportunity of producing those performances and those results that they are. They're massively in the title race. We understand that, but we're trying to dress it up as a cup match for us, an FA Cup tie, and one which I said to the players, if it was an FA Cup tie, you had nothing to lose, and let's go for it and give a good account of ourselves, and let's put in a positive performance.
Because, for various different reasons, as you well know, because you led the team to one of them. Arsenal at home in the top division is quite a thing for this football club, and victories, because I can't imagine at any stage across that piece United went into the game as favourites, yet they were victorious.
Yeah, before me, obviously that period where we had two great results away at the Emirates when Flecky scored, and late on where we were in the game right the way through, and obviously the home game was a great experience, and they're the standards that we need to match. We need to certainly match them on the pitch, and it allows off the pitch to get that backing that hopefully we'll get.
What more do you want to see in terms of kind of squeezing the orange out of this squad between now and for teams like Arsenal that are on the horizon? Yeah,
listen, consistency in team selection, consistency in a settled side, so we can work at the training ground to improve players individually, improve the team. Of both boxes, we've conceded some really poor goals in the time, which isn't really sort of tagged to sort of us as a football club, but we have to accept that responsibility, the goals that we've conceded. So does that go hand in hand in terms of the work on the training ground? Most certainly. You're chopping and changing. We talked about the Luton Town game. We come away from the Luton Town game and get a really good positive result, and we've got two players. One definitely out for the season in Max Lowe, and another. That I'll be surprised if he comes back before the end of the season. So those are the little bits and pieces that are happening to us. Both boxes are crucial. Understanding that these top teams are going to have the majority of play in between boxes, but I think you look at the top teams and they defend well. They're clinical and ruthless in their defensive attitudes, and when they get to the top of the pitch, they put you to bed. So from our point of view, from a defensive situation, cut out the silly goals and poor goals that are costing us. And on the other side, when we do get the opportunity, which we did on Sunday, in terms from the statistical point of view, penalty area entries, how many crosses that we have to show that bit of quality. That, as I said before, the old one that turns losses into draws and draws into defeats. We certainly had enough of the ball and enough of the areas in where we wanted to get the ball to cause them problems, but we have to find that final run, pass, cross and finish that makes the difference. We talked about it when we came in this week. How is that defined? How does that look like? What is it? Is it because of a lack of confidence because of the league position? Is it a lack of belief in terms of what's happened this season? Is it a little bit of desperation as well because they want to do well? I think it's a mixture of maybe 3 or 4. Do I think they're good enough to produce those moments? Yeah, because they would have done in the Championship. It's a little bit quicker, but it's still a chance to put a ball in instead of putting a ball over the crossbar, to find that final pass instead of, not finding that final pass. So we believe in the quality that we've got. Hopefully added with McBurney coming back in and Ben coming back into the group as well, and when Cameron comes back in, then that'll feel a little bit easier for us as well. But just finding that little bit. So I think it's a combination of quite a few of those things. When you're flying, when you're doing well, you do find those passes. When you're not, and it's a little bit of desperation. So we need to come out of that sort of feeling and out of that area that we're in at the moment. If we are gonna score goals and get what I believe we should have got out of the game, which was certainly minimum a point.
So, thank you very
Cheers,
much.
Andy.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Damo.
Just the one. You've spoken very favourably about some of the young kids coming through, that featured on the bench, people like Blaster and so on. How tempted are you to throw some of them in now at this stage of the season, or is it just a time for sort of cold experience?
Yeah, well, they're getting experience because they're part of the first team, so they understand how we roll as a staff and what it's like to be a first team player at a Premier League football club and at Sheffield United. So they're getting to grips with that. So that isn't always easy. The day-to-day expectations and standards that we're placing on those players. That doesn't mean that they don't have that in the academy. I've got to say, the work the academy does is fabulous, and will continue to produce players, no doubt, dominating our area and producing really good footballers. Now the big step up is into the level that we're playing at. So the boys are learning every day. The R Blasters and the Brooks and the Sulas, in terms of the coaching, in terms of who they're training with, the environment they're in, and the standards that are set. I think going back to your question, Damo, yeah, I mean, listen, it is tempting, and I suppose there'll be a few people that want us to chuck them in, but I've just got to get the balance right as well. And maybe if we were playing with a little bit more belief and a little bit more confidence, that would ease them in a little bit easier and make that decision a little bit more easy. But as you can imagine, it's still a situation. It's a pretty difficult one to deal with. But if I feel the time is right, I think I know I'm bold enough and brave enough to do it, and we'll get on with it.
Cheers. Any more for live stuff?
Chris, Arsenal at the moment seem to be flying. I think it's 19 goals in the last 4. Are you catching them at a particularly bad time?
Seem to be. I don't think the word seem, is it? They are. What would you rather do? Would you rather be playing a championship game on a Monday night, or would you rather be playing Arsenal in front of the world and playing against world-class players and a team that's absolutely flying? In Europe, they've improved year on year. And are deservedly in the position that they are. I know where I'd rather be, and I'm sure the players will have that same attitude.
When Arsenal will be such strong favourites for a game, there's often a narrative, I think, from the media that it's a free hit for you. Do you believe in free hits?
No, there's no free hits. We have to produce a performance that represents ourselves, our football club, that the supporters are proud of. We haven't had enough of those this season, so we need to produce more of those than not. So no free hits for me, regardless of the opposition. Of course, bookies and people in the game will have us down as the whipping boys on Monday night. We understand that, but the game's not always built like that. Results aren't decided before a game on league position. They go into the game as favourites, understand that, but we have to show that we were capable of being competitive and trying to get a result out of the game.
Thank you.
Cheers.